Welcome back to Inside Tennessee. We're shaking things up this morning, talking to our panel about their highlights from the Knox County mayoral debate. We're going to start first with one of Susan's top highlights. Let's listen and then we'll react.
At first blush, metropolitan government, metro government sounds great because you can eliminate redundancy of service. I mean, the city and the county can't even get their act enough together to send out tax notices in the same envelope. Unfortunately, it's a lot more difficult than that, because when you do start looking at debt, when you start looking at the pension structures, when you start looking at even constitutional issues, it becomes very difficult. I live in the county. I don't want certain services. I don't want to pay the taxes on those services, and a lot of people out in the county agree with me.
All right, Susan, why did you pick Republican Glenn Jacobs and that soundbite in particular?
Well, I thought it was one of the humorous moments of the night when he talked about the city and county not being able to send out their business tax forms in the same envelope. But we were talking about unification and should the city and the county unify. And I think pretty much most of the candidates were a no on that. It sounds good in theory, but making it happen is a little bit more difficult.
Costly.
And costly, and the county, as we know, the county has voted against it a couple times already. But Glenn came out and established himself as the conservative, certainly as the conservative, as the non-politician in the race. And I think the expectations for him were probably fairly low because the guy's a professional wrestler. Well, what people did find out was he was very knowledgeable. He was very good on the issues, and I think because of that, he exceeded people's expectations. So I think Glenn is certainly a candidate to be reckoned with.
Do you agree with that summation?
I think he did exceed expectations. I guess the only disagreement I have with Susan is I thought both Rhonda, and to a different degree and a different way, Brad and Linda did a very good job, and Brad Anders was very knowledgeable and very measured and very calm. Frankly, I didn't see a lot of difference between Glenn and Brad. I do think that Glenn was a little more conservative, but I thought Brad Anders demonstrated that he has learned a lot about Knox County in his 8 years on county commission.
On that question in particular about consolidation, Bob Thomas mentioned that groundswell shouldn't come from the top, it should come from the bottom up. Do you agree with that?
I do. I think he's right about that. I don't see that coming. And all the candidates were fairly consistent on that particular topic.
But all the candidates did, one way or another, say, while we might not have consolidated government, we need some certain services. Parks and Rec was an example that was given. Certainly Glenn's example of getting tax notices in the same envelope. We need some consolidation of services where departments can work together, and we're seeing some of that. We saw it way back when we consolidated schools. But I think that's the answer, and you're right. We've tried consolidation twice from the top down, and it didn't work. So the only way it could ever work would be from the bottom up.
Let's listen to your second highlight, Susan, and then we'll react to that as well.
Well, I can tell you that downtown Knoxville has flourished because of TIFs and pilots. And I haven't seen, I think I've voted against one maybe, but every TIF downtown and pilot downtown has been very successful. There's no risk to the taxpayer when those are done. And so you can either take what you're getting now, which was low, or you can assist a developer or a company to come in, bring jobs and construction, and hope to get more money in the long run.
That exact question was, do you consider those TIFs and pilots offsets and incentives for new developments or unnecessary subsidies?
Well, the reason I picked that for Brad, because I think Brad established himself as the candidate with experience. He talked several times about having 26 years experience, both as a cop and also involved in county commission as vice chair now. So he, throughout his conversations last night, he threw in knowledgeable bits of information that he has garnered through the 26 years of service. I thought he was very stable. He came across as very confident, the guy that could step into the job and immediately begin working on day one.
He's kind of got that reputation on commission as well, as, you know, things can get a little wacky, a little heated on commission, and he's kind of the one that's like, all right, let's just kind of take a moment, and this is all going to work out, and here's the realism of what we're facing.
Yeah, I thought he was definitely that candidate last night.
All right, let's listen into your third highlight, and we'll move on from there.
Deputies should start out at $40,000. I'm just going to be bold and say that. Teachers, they need to have a voice in what they need to live, to make a living wage. As for teachers and their supplies, I know firsthand this. I belong to a women's club where we collect money and products for the Teachers Depot, where they come and get these things so that they don't have to spend out of their pocket.
That's Democrat Linda Haney talking about whether she would support a raise for teachers.
Yeah, and frankly, they all said that they thought the teachers and deputies should be have an increase in pay, but she was very specific in putting a number on there, $40,000 a year for deputies. She didn't address, I think she addressed maybe a percentage for teachers, but Linda was definitely I guess I would call her the liberal of that group. She was for increase in taxes. She was good with an increase in taxes when that was the question you asked her. She wanted to give increases in pay to the deputies and to the teachers.
As did every candidate, Republican and
did
Democrat.
they all, right? But again, she was very specific about
how she would pay for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So clearly, I'm glad we have Democrats running, to be perfectly honest. I think it makes everybody better candidates when you have two-party system. But I'm not sure they have much of a chance in this county. But I do think it's good to see the comparisons.
All right, we're going to come back and hear Don Bosch's highlights from this debate, and then on to John North as well. We appreciate you watching on this Sunday morning. Back with that right after this.